Welcome to the Explainer. Look, today we're skipping the generic health advice. No tips on what to do if you're just feeling a little tired. Instead, we're diving straight into decoding the hidden biological software that actually governs your energy, your aging, and your absolute resilience. We're going to uncover the invisible forces shaping the entire trajectory of your life. Let's get into it.
So what if stress isn't just a feeling? We always think of stress as an emotion, right? Like a bad mood. But what's really fascinating is that it's actually a deeply measurable physical cascade happening right this second inside your cells. It's literally a biological software glitch that alters how your body allocates energy and repairs its DNA. To truly master your health, you've got to stop treating stress as just a feeling and start treating it as a physiological mechanism.
To understand how this mechanism works, we have to look at the HPA axis. This is your body's literal command center. Basically, when you perceive an environmental threat, and that could be a physical danger, a crazy missed deadline, or even just sleep deprivation, your hypothalamus sends a signal to your pituitary gland. That gland then commands your adrenal glands to release cortisol. So this system takes an invisible, perceived threat and translates it into a very tangible chemical reality. Now, a healthy biological system operates on a really precise rhythm. When you wake up, your biology triggers something called the cortisol awakening response. This is a massive 50 to 150% surge in cortisol within the first 45 minutes of waking. And you actually want this. It mobilizes your energy reserves and powers you into the day. From there, it should gradually drop, hitting its absolute lowest point right around midnight, which signals to your brain that it's time for deep sleep.
But here's where the glitch happens. When chronic stress hits, this elegant rhythm completely flattens into chaos. You lose that sharp morning spike, meaning you wake up feeling totally exhausted. And worse, your evening cortisol stays erratically high, which completely blocks your brain's ability to transition into deep, restorative sleep. It becomes this vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. This glitch unleashes what is literally a cascade of chaos throughout your entire body. When cortisol stays elevated for weeks or months, it starts interfering with insulin signaling, driving hidden glucose dysfunction. It shifts your immune system into this pro-inflammatory state. It even alters your gut microbiome, creating intestinal permeability. This isn't just about feeling stressed anymore. This interconnected cascade is accelerating your biological aging without you even realizing it. Every single symptom is a clue to this deeper system failure.
Section 1. The mechanical overrides and hacking the vagus nerve. To override this broken system, we have to manipulate the autonomic nervous system. You've got the sympathetic branch, that's the upregulator driving your fight-or-flight response. And then you have the parasympathetic branch, the downregulator driving rest and recovery. Under chronic stress, we get stuck in sympathetic upregulation. We need a mechanical way to force a biological stand-down. The mechanism beneath the mechanism here is the vagus nerve. It's a massive cranial nerve wandering from your brain all the way down to your colon. And scientists have found something amazing. Breathing at exactly 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute optimally stimulates this nerve. By hitting this precise respiratory rate, you're mechanically commanding your heart and your brain to stand down and relax.
This brings us to a really immediate, actionable protocol called the physiological sigh. Interestingly, this is a pattern of breathing you actually naturally do in deep sleep. You take a deep inhale, then add a second small sip of air to fully pop open the air sacs in your lungs, and follow it up with a slow, prolonged exhale. This mechanical override rapidly offloads carbon dioxide and instantly lowers your heart rate in real time.
Now, I never knew this until I reviewed the research, but fast breathing isn't just a symptom of feeling overwhelmed. It's a massive biological red flag. In fact, very fast breathing is the #1 predictor of heart attacks in hospital patients. This completely changes how we should view our breath, right? It highlights exactly why consciously controlling your exhalation is quite literally a life-saving tool.
Section 2. The molecular master switches and hacking biochemical cascades.
Science actually gives us 3 highly potent, clinically validated tools to rewrite this biological code. We're looking at phosphatidylserine, the adaptogen ashwagandha, and meditation. As you can see, each uniquely targets a totally different mechanism of the HPA axis, doing everything from normalizing hyperresponsivity to actually rewiring how your brain anticipates future threats.
Let's consider phosphatidylserine, or PS for short. This isn't some abstract compound. It's a natural phospholipid living right now in your cell membranes. Its main job is to maintain cellular integrity,
But clinically, it acts to mathematically blunt the chaotic spikes of cortisol that occur after intense physical or mental exertion. It essentially turns off the negative feedback loop before it can cause systemic damage.
And the clinical data reveals a really undeniable dose-dependent response here. When subjects undergo extreme stress, like heavy exercise, the placebo group experiences a massive cortisol spike. But an intervention of 400 to 800 milligrams of PS acts as a biological shield, blocking up to 30% of that inflammatory surge. It directly stops that muscle-wasting cortisol cascade dead in its tracks.
And beautifully, clinical studies comparing meditation directly to PS show something absolutely incredible. A consistent meditation practice is just as effective at lowering baseline cortisol as the molecular supplement. It achieves this by actually rewiring your brain's physical response to future stress. It alters your anticipatory sensitization, which basically means your brain stops launching the HPA axis response for threats that haven't even happened yet.
Next up, we have adaptogens, which are brilliant examples of biological intelligence. Substances like ashwagandha don't just blindly suppress hormones. Instead, they act as bidirectional modulators. This means if your cortisol is running dangerously high, they help bring it down. But if your stress response is blunted and exhausted, they actually support your recovery. They constantly seek to restore your personal homeostasis.
But listen, these are powerful molecular switches, and they command respect. The clinical data strongly warns that you must cycle ashwagandha every 8 to 12 weeks. If you take it endlessly without taking a break, you actually risk suppressing the HPA axis entirely. You can induce secondary adrenal insufficiency, causing severe fatigue and complete hormonal havoc. You have to use this software responsibly.
Section 3. The Human System Reboot. Let's unify the protocol.
So, here is the Elite Resilience Protocol, based on all this data. First, protect your morning cortisol awakening response by prioritizing early light exposure and good sleep. Second, utilize time-restricted eating, specifically omitting late meals, so you allow for that midnight cortisol drop. Third, perform just 5 minutes of cyclic sighing daily to mechanically tone that vagus nerve. Fourth, strategically deploy phosphatidylserine or your cycled adaptogens. And finally, maintain robust social connections because oxytocin physically counteracts cortisol.
This brings us to the ultimate truth of our biology. As researchers Smith and Vail point out, true health is not the total absence of stress. Honestly, a life without stress is impossible. Real health is possessing the engineered capacity across your endocrine, nervous, and immune systems to effortlessly return to homeostasis after the stress has passed.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question. You now see the interconnected systems at play here. You know that sleep influences hormones, hormones influence emotions, and biology influences aging. So now that you possess the operating manual, will you just let your biology run on default, constantly glitching under the pressure, or will you choose to program your own human potential? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer.